pop up and tell us. Welcome to this Quizzy Monday live chat on all things quiz. With me today is Dan Peake, who you might know from not from YouTube, from Twitter. That's a good start. I'm already tripping over my words. You might know Dan as Quizzy Dan on Twitter, and he runs. Actually, Dan, you explain the sort of stuff you do on Twitch and whatever for benefit of people who haven't come across you before.
I do a range of puzzles of different types, solving with help from the chat because I'm not intelligent enough to quite do it all. And I also host quizzes which is currently every other Thursday. I host a quiz on Twitch, but it's a mix of crossword solving, puzzle hunt style puzzles, playing puzzle games as well, and just general frivolity, really.
Good. We all like a bit of frivolity right now. And one of your key strengths is writing questions for TV quiz shows, and you have written for Only Connect. So anybody watching who has any questions about what warped things go on in the mind of Only Connect question writers, well, you've got one here. He's been let out on day release, and you can ask him whatever questions you might have. If you want to post something in the comments section here on YouTube, you can write something in there. We will be able to see it, bring it up onto screen, answer your questions, discuss the things you want us to discuss. So really, as much as we'll be chatting amongst ourselves about what's gone on tonight on TV and on other TV quizzes, you as a viewer can help to steer this conversation in perhaps unexpected directions. So, Dan, what was your key takeaway from tonight's TV? What was the thing that leapt out at you more than anything tonight?
That I don't like people singing on Only Connect. Anyone. I mean, Victoria is lovely. But no singing, please. No. That's my top takeaway.
Okay. I think we can all agree with that, particularly when people don't know the words. That makes it even more slightly embarrassing.
Sometimes it goes okay. Tonight it didn't. Although Victoria's intro was lovely, that was good. But when people don't know the song, it is difficult to sing along.
Yeah, very much. I mean, we're on Only Connect. Two good teams. The Sevens ran out winners, and they've got I think for me, one of the standout players of the series so far in Kieran. She is absolutely fantastic, and they clearly look to her. But that final missing vowels round,
so unlucky.
Unlucky. I mean, I don't know, a lot of diving in.
Without those, because there was 2 points lost there, wasn't there? So that it was enough to tip it. So I'm very unlucky there.
Flashes of inspiration, clearly, seeing the missing vowels, knowing what it is, but then having that momentary kind of doubt that just then cost them getting it. It was, tonight, I guess, across a number of the shows, Mastermind, we also saw it, pressure really told on people. And I think absolutely. That final round of missing vowels, the teams were so close and so good, and they knew they had to buzz in really quickly. And, because otherwise you just don't get it at all.
Yep.
But they did, and it, both sides, it cost them points. So it was very exciting. I was longing for a tiebreaker, I have to say. That was what I was holding out for. I like that penalty shootout thing.
I don't pity the captains at all when it comes to a tiebreaker, because it's a one question shootout on the buzzers for a final missing vowels when that happens. And nerves of steel you have to have if it comes down to a tiebreaker.
We have a couple of comments. Grace, who is a regular commentator, Grace, she says, I love singing in quizzes. To be honest, it makes it fun.
It does.
This is an opinion that splits the quiz community right down the middle.
Yes.
Claire, who's been on our live chat, she says singing can't work if nobody has a steer on what note to start on.
Oh, so yes, really, it starts off as 6 different keys and finally converges, after a few notes. This is true.
I mean, yes, a tuning fork really should be de rigueur as studio. But no, we didn't get any of that on Only Connect tonight. How long did you write for Only Connect for?
Well, I'm still writing for Only Connect in terms
Oh,
of just continuing on. We tend to, the way I tend to write for Only Connect is there's a particular part of the year where we focus on submissions. I, throughout the whole year, just go, whenever I get a good idea, I write it down in a book and I write it up later. So for me, in some ways, the writing never stops, and then I just submit them all in a couple of goes at various points in the year when we come to writing them. So I'm still writing, really, and I just jot down good ideas. Haven't had any in a while, but I jot down good ideas as and whenever I get them. Because I find that some other people might be able to write for Only Connect. Some of the other writers can probably just sit down and go, right, I'm going to write questions for Only Connect and then come up with some good stuff. I can't. I really struggle with Only Connect, so I just let it come to me over the course of a year. So I'm not a particularly prolific question writer anymore. I don't sit myself down and force it. I can write the walls sort of not to order, but those I can sit down and work on quite easily. And Missing Vowels is very easy for me to write. But the rounds 1 and 2, I tend to just let them come to me.
What is the hallmark of a Dan Peake question then? Are you
good groan at the end?
Sorry,
good groan at the end.
So you do you go for the puzzly ones, or the wordplay ones, or the general knowledge ones, or a bit of everything?
A bit of everything. I tend to focus more on the science and geography side because that's just where my sensibilities lie. That and wordplay based ones tend to be me, but not always. There have been a lot of. There is a great wordplay one coming up. Or has it? I can't remember if it's already been or not, so I'm not going to say what it was. That a couple of people said, "Did you write that?" And no, quite a lot of the time it isn't me, but I do write a fair number of wordplay ones. I like writing sequences more than connections for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, interesting. Obviously, the singing topic is T was on the series last year.
Which team were you on, T?
Oh Lord, I can't remember what team you were, but I'm sure it'll come up in the chat in about 30 seconds once the lag has kind of cleared. But yeah, Jim is still upset we never got asked to sing. Well, you know, some things would think that was a lucky escape.
Indeed.
Graham talking about the kickoff note. One captain presses their buzzer, and they start on that note.
Hey, Graham. The Endeavours.
The Endeavours. So don't mind singing at all. Supposedly singing helps with nerves, so maybe they should have done a bit more of that. Who knew that would be the key talking point? It's almost like Mastermind and Long Questions. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
The questions are so long on Mastermind, you can get nervous again, I think, in between questions. I don't mind the long questions. I know they're divisive as well, but they're more colourful in terms of questions and topics than just, what's the capital of Spain? That's a boring question. So I singing, no. Long questions, yes. Controversial. There we go.
I mean, one of the things that gets criticised in Mastermind is the amount of questions people get asked. I made a note tonight that, first round, there were much as getting kind of 11, 12 questions, but there was 17, 18, 16 in the general knowledge. This is pretty good numbers, not just for the current era, but, most of the Humphreys era in general knowledge. That's not a bad number of questions. I mean, the problem a number of players had tonight was they got 1 or 2 wrong, and they went into a pass spiral, or they just couldn't get themselves back into it. And, there was Connie, who was absolutely faultless on her specialist subject, which was Damien Hirst. Yeah. She got 11 out of 11, got the first right in their general knowledge. And then there was about 10 incorrect answers on the spin. And, she knows this stuff. She's clearly knowledgeable, but it just didn't happen for her. Vina, she got halfway through the round doing well in the general knowledge, and then few X's, and then it becomes a pass spiral. So nobody can really understand, and I put that on Twitter, unless you've been in that chair, and unless you put yourself in front of cameras and you've had the whole thing, you can never really understand what it's like being under that pressure. All of a sudden, the world is spinning around you, and you're very aware of what's going on. It's a horrible feeling. Have you ever done stuff on camera? We know you've done behind the scenes. Have you done anything on camera?
Yeah, I did quite a few shows. I was on Countdown. I won about 6 shows on that, and then got beaten by a 14-year-old. I was on the weakest link. That was absolutely terrifying. You're right. You do absolutely go to jelly. I could hardly stand. It was. I was just so nervous. And I did Wogan's Perfect Recall as well. Terry Wogan was. They say never meet your heroes, but he was amazing. He was lovely.
Was he?
Yeah, really nice. Just genial and put you at ease, and yeah, he was lovely. So yeah, I've definitely done a few quizzes, so I can definitely testify to the fact that nerves can just completely shut you off.
Yeah,
you know the answer, but you just can't get at it.
Yeah, and then you're thinking about the one you just missed rather than the one you're being asked. It's a horrible thing to be in. T, I felt their pain truly horrid. T was on Mastermind last week, and it's one of those experiences that you just can't replicate anywhere else. It's like they say about penalty shootouts, that it's not the same in training as in the match. Answering questions anywhere else other than in the Mastermind Black Chair is just it's just not the same. Now, Claire has said, I could swear Rishi had fewer questions than the others. He had 11 in his specialist subject round, and he had 15 in his general knowledge. I think speed of answering could be an element of what was going on, perhaps with Rishi.
Yes.
Yes. But I mean, a lot comes down to people's perceptions. I mean, you'll know, Dan, a lot of hard work goes on behind the scenes with question teams to make sure that shows are fair and balanced, and the questions are. I was going to say the questions are evil. There's a bit of that with Only Connect, obviously.
Yes.
But you can vouch for the fact that a lot goes on behind the scenes to make sure that everything is as fair and above board as possible.
Absolutely. It's not that it's done by committee, but there's so many people that look at it that if one person has a bias on it, someone else will pick up on it and that bias will get taken out. It will get spotted if someone has all these extra long questions and someone else has these really short questions and someone has loads more words to get through before they can give an answer. It will get noticed. Sometimes there'll be slight slip-ups, of course. We're not perfect, but by and large, most of the time, the question packs will be distributed fairly. It's never tailored to any contestant. I've seen that many times, particularly on the chase. Oh, the questions for the chase were easier. They're not. The packs are all assembled ahead of time. It's not known who's going to go to which pack. The same is true with Only Connect. The same will be true with the Mastermind. Experienced quizzes will know this, but it really is absolutely true that there's no bias towards any form of contestant that goes in. So part of it might be perception that someone got fewer questions. Part of it might be because Rishi didn't know quite a lot of answers in his stack. He took longer to answer, therefore he got through fewer questions, which is a positive feedback loop. He couldn't answer, so he got fewer questions to answer, so we got a lower score.
There's a lot of factors in play. I mean, Elisa says Connor's question seemed much more difficult to me. Might have imagined it, and it's one of these interesting things. If you go on groups like Quiz Discussion Group on Facebook, you'll find people kind of giving their totals, and some people will think it's absolutely absolutely easy in one person's questions and much harder in another, and just it really depends on your perspective and your knowledge base. So if it falls for you, you do well, and if it falls against you, you're in problems. So it's as Claire says, it can only be perception. It's not a complaint. I think that the people who it matters to are the people who are there and are facing the questions.
It's something that I think is less important in Mastermind than it is on, say, Only Connect. On Mastermind, you've got more questions so that the hard and the easy and the difficulties can all balance out a lot more easily because you've got more questions over which it balances. With Only Connect, it's a lot smaller, particularly the walls. Of course, there's the walls are literally paired against each other in terms of they're not necessarily written as opposites, but they've got to be balanced. And I took a look at today's, and that our Aristophanes title seems like that was a bit harder than all the other categories. But then equally on that wall, you had an easier eye products thing. So there was an easier category and a harder category, and I think actually the walls were balanced, and the scores bore that out. It turns out. I think the Nigel's clothing, AR, and music notation, those those categories were all fairly medium, and then on the other wall you had 2 medium, a hard, and an easier one. So I think it did balance out. It's something that Jack and David, the 2 questions producers for Only Connect, they spend a good deal of time making sure that they get it as balanced as they can, and it's a genuinely random thing. The questions are in the thingy. If they pick the Eye of Horus, they get the Eye of Horus, whatever it has been assigned to be. There is no influence that goes on in there. So they make it as fair and balanced a set as they can, and then the contestants pick from that.
Indeed. We got a comment here. Fixed heads on Twitter drive me up the wall.
Oh, absolutely.
There can't be a show on TV where somebody doesn't think it's being fixed in favour of somebody else. And on the Mastermind thing, the same poster says, I scored similar scores on all 4 GK rounds tonight. And Graham says, yes, I did too. It felt pretty balanced to me. I just think it was more the kind of the pressure and the psychological aspect of it. None of these people will have got on the show being rubbish at general knowledge. You know, no. You have to do a test. You have to be auditioned. It's just different doing it, you know, for real with live ammo.
It really is. It really is. There was only one of the 4 specialist subjects that I could identify with. Friends, of course. British Mammals, Damien Hirst, and Men's Wimbledon 1968 to present. Wow, those are. I mean, I've watched Wimbledon, but I couldn't tell you much about it. I think I got one of those. I didn't get any of the Damien Hirst. I got one of the British Mammals because I've been to Devon, and it was a river question. And so I thought when Friends came up, I went, got this. And actually, I was genuinely impressed with the standard of the questions that were written. They were properly tough, and because I know there's some snobs that say, oh, it's a TV show, you know, that's sort of dumbing down on Mastermind. Given the level of these questions, they were definitely on a par of the other 3 categories. So I was very impressed with that. I only got 2 right as well.
I mean, I'll agree with you. It was funny. As soon as it was announced that Vina was doing Friends, they were on Twitter going, oh, Mastermind's dumbing down.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she gets a question on the costume designer, somebody's like, it's so ridiculous to have something so obscure. And it's like, well, you can't have it both ways. It can't be both dumbed down and ridiculously obscure.
No, and if they were the costume designer for all 10 series, I did not know that they had the same person and that they picked palettes for the players, not players, for the actors. They're more than game fodder for being asked a question on Mastermind. So yeah, I was. They were not softball questions on the Friends category. So I was very pleased to see that and very disappointed with my score. Yeah,
we didn't get Smelly Cat or Marcel the Monkey, anything like that.
I should have got Chrissy Hind on the Smelly Cat thing. Should have got that, but I didn't.
Yeah. Again, Wimbledon and Friends are both huge subjects, and they really were. I mean, and you could tell, you know, you've not only got every episode of Friends, if you got all the production details, that's a huge subject. If you got Wimbledon, and as it turns out, it's not just the matches, it's incidents within matches or related to matches or the music that Barry Cowan listened to. And just huge subject. And now I think it was reflected probably in their scores that it just was a bit too big, really.
True, but then you got the occasional easier question of the answer that was Henman Hill, which would be a fairly easy question in terms of you get that in a normal pub quiz. So it definitely tried to balance it out there. But you're right, it is big. Damien Hirst definitely narrow. But mind you, there are a lot of British Mammals. Have you counted them all?
Well, I got about halfway through and I gave up, Dan. It was too much.
Oh. Terrible. See?
We're getting loads of comments tonight. Hard to keep up with them. They're ticking by. So I apologize if I'm missing your comments. So I'll just try to keep things relevant to what we're talking about. But it's let's have a look.
I'll pull up the feed as well so I can possibly respond to some of them.
So Grace says, this is about back on Only Connect. If you go on the Only Connect subreddit,
there's a subreddit.
Threads talking about if the questions are getting easier or if that one wall was unfair. It's just luck if you get something don't know.
Absolutely.
And Claire again says it seems unlucky to have a whole team with no music knowledge. Well, that can happen.
Get someone who's good at music. Get someone who is genuinely very clever. That's my top tip. Get a teammate who's very, very clever.
And get a good spread of knowledge as well as far as you can, and a team that talks to one another. It's again, Graham saying that's why the first team get to pick which wall they want as well. So there's no possibility one wall is written to favour one team or the other.
Yes, it's absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely above board. So yeah, Grace, sorry, there's lots of great job to the question editors. So just throwing it out there to say well done to the team.
I'm sure Jack and David will be pleased to know that. It's an underappreciated art. All the work that goes on behind the scenes. We know that there's a lot of it, but it is an underappreciated art. And there's also a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes. So in today's show, there was a round 2 sequence that was number of world titles that sportsmen had won. And one of the teams gave the answer Lewis Hamilton at the time of filming. So this would have been October. At the time of filming, Lewis Hamilton was almost certain to win. It was almost mathematically impossible that he wasn't going to win. In fact, it may have been mathematically impossible that he was going to win, or it was it was very, very close, but he hadn't yet won. So there was a debate: do we accept it or not? And I think they quite rightly said he's not won yet. At time of recording, we can't accept this. He only has 6 titles at the moment. He will have 7, but he only has 6 at the moment. We can't take it because what if the season gets doubled up with next year's because of coronavirus or something? We don't know what's going to happen. So there's also a lot of preparing for all the potential answers that they could say that goes on behind the scenes as well. That's always fun, the adjudication side. And I don't envy Jack and David when they get in some of the pressurized situations there, actually.
That's tricky. Apparently, we've got a definitive answer. There are 66 British mammals, according to Google. And
now that feels like a who dares wins question. I'll bid 1. 2. Name them. Right, fine.
And David's alleging that I started counting sheep and then fell asleep, which is
hey.
So let that be a lesson. Don't start counting your mammals with sheep. Dave's also asked, Dan, what would your specialist subject be?
Oh my goodness. Survivor, series 1 to 40, because there have been 40 series of Survivor. Series 1 to present.
Wow.
Probably.
And this is the American reality TV
The American reality show, yeah. People voting each other off on an island, yeah.
Oh, wow. How would you go about preparing that?
Oh, I just watch them all again. Great fun.
Oh, well, that'd be tough on you.
There's only been like 600 contestants on it. I'll memorize their names. That'll be fine.
Well, I've always said that one of the yardsticks for a good specialist subject is you've got defined parameters, so you know every episode, every contestant, every elimination.
I can tell you where they were filmed. No, I can't. I can't actually remember where the first one was just called Survivor, and I can't remember where the very first one was filmed. I'm at Bora Bora because it was where the UK one was also filmed, and then it went, oh goodness, Survivor 2, Africa, Survivor 3. Oh no, maybe 3. Oh no, see, I've not revised this, but there was Marquesas, which was 4. 7 was All Stars. 10 was
spiral before.
Oh dear. Anyway.
So Graham said about his favourite sort of question. Again, it brings me to what your favourite sort of question is on Only Connect. But his favourite was like the ones that anyone could get, but not many would, where centre of gravity was V, wasn't it? And Beethoven's 7th, etc., is letter V. So that's a connection. So that sort of clever, almost crosswordy type question. And as he says, even though a 5-year-old could get it, it doesn't mean it's easy because you've got to have the right mindset.
My favourite type of question is where there's sort of multiple ways into it. If you do Learned League, that Learned League specialises in questions in which there's usually more than one way to get into the question, especially there can sometimes be a highbrow or a lowbrow way or something like that into it. There's more than one way that requiring a different field of knowledge that will help you get into it. That's my favourite type of question. I, of course, can't think of one right now, but that's my favourite sort of question.
Yeah, no, I think so. And Learned League, for those who aren't aware, it's a general knowledge league. You play daily. It's based in America, but you can join if somebody gives you a referral. It's a kind of a referral only thing
It's a very, very difficult quiz league. I did a couple of seasons and then went, do you know what? I don't like getting things wrong all the time. I'm going to take a step back. For the hardcore quizzes out there, highly recommend it. Yeah, you do have to pay, but it's very good. And it is American based, so there's going to be a lot of Americana. I think it's still good value for what it costs.
Yes.
I can see that Dave Matthews says fewer questions about costume designers for Survivor. They are given a costume, though. They are told, they have a production meeting and they get told what they are wearing at the start of the season. They do not choose, or at least in the later seasons, they do not choose what they are stranded in. The producers pick their clothing for them, which deliberately to quite a lot of the time to play up their stereotypes. So, if there's a nerdy one, they might have like a cardigan on, that sort of thing. And it's one of the lessons I could talk about Survivor for quite a while. It's one of the lesser known facts about Survivor that they're not stranded in the clothing of their choice, at least nowadays.
I think this is one of the lessons you learn the more you get involved with TV is never underestimate the ability or willingness of producers to manipulate what happens or what you see. Now, I'm not saying manipulate
in reality, absolutely.
TV,
in quizzes, it is more than your life is worth. If you do that, you are going to get found out and you are going to be fined. And probably put in prison, actually. You can't do that.
Yeah, they're really terrified of it, aren't they? To the point of having independent adjudicators there who are there to make all the decisions. When people say on the chase, oh, they got that answer in time. There's somebody upstairs in what they call the gallery who is making that decision. It's not the producer, the director, the question writer, anybody other than this independent person who makes the call one way or the other.
Well, here's the thing. When we filmed, so I was a runner in this season of Only Connect. I was a runner, so I was there for all the filming. I was a runner for the questions team, so I was mostly helping them and the graphics team. There was one of the ones. It was the Bridges versus the. I can't remember which team they were facing, but it was a very, very close match, and we actually had to go back and check because we all had the same score written down. We take the score, we write down the scores in multiple places to make sure that we all agree, and we all had the same score, but we were like, are we sure? No. Can we watch that back? So even though we all had the same thing, we went back and the contestants just had to sit there, and Victoria, they all talked for 5 minutes whilst we ran the take back and physically counted all the points again because it was a ding-dong battle. Points had been won and lost from both sides or something like that to make sure that we got it correct because we didn't want to announce a wrong score. And it was very close. There was only 1 point in it, and we wanted to make sure that the right team went through because it was an elimination or something. Yes, I think it was the loser match. So it was a very close thing. Never underestimate the willingness of people to go, okay, let's just check this. So when there is an independent adjudicator on a show, they will be the first to say, no, I'm going to check this. This was on our doing. This was, okay, we just want to check that everyone has the right number of points. And they did, but we needed to check. We actually watched it twice because we wanted to be doubly sure.
Yeah, and then, they do take it seriously. We said previously, when I was on Only Connect, we gave an answer to a question. We were told it was incorrect. And then the filming was stopped. And then we were told a few minutes later, actually, yeah, we've worked out your sequence does work. So we're letting you have the point. It's not what we thought the sequence was, but they do take it very, very seriously.
That has happened in this series as well. There has been an instance where a team has given an answer. Victoria has then gone, sorry, no, wrong, handed it over, and the other team has actually given a correct answer in this instance. And then there's been a slight pause because we wanted to check, and it turns out it was correct, and so it was given. And so in that instance, we apologize very much to the second team, the team that's handed over to, and say, sorry, but this is the only way we can do it. We have to say, no, you're wrong, and get an extra answer because we need you in the flow at the time. This is what you're thinking now. We can't stop tape immediately as soon as they're given the answer because this gives you more time to think. So we automatically go, no, you're wrong, and then hand over and give a guess in the full knowledge that we can, if we need to, check and go, okay, actually, you're right. We're very sorry, but here's the point for you. And actually, it's the right way to do it. It does seem slightly mean to the team that gets a point taken away, but they do understand.
Better to let the question play out, and then you've got it in the can. You check it and find out you're right all along, but rather than just say stop it and then the question gets junked, and then you've got a whole thing of getting up an equitable replacement question or anything like that.
So I don't know how they do that, but they do definitely have spares on hand for every show in a bank somewhere. They've never had to reach for them yet, thank goodness.
Now, we got somebody posting questions called the Fluffer, and I don't know whether this is somebody with inside knowledge or just being humorous. Crabgate, Bananagate?
So Bananagate it was exactly that question that I'm thinking about. Yes, they gave. So in fact, that was my question. I was really pleased with it. And then when I came, so the question was, what comes next? Peduncle, bunch, hand. No, peduncle, hand, bunch, blank.
Banana finger.
And it's a banana plant getting smaller towards the banana. So the intended answer was banana, but you can have them as a finger. And they gave the answer as finger. We then went across the other team, and then it turns out finger was correct. So I was really disappointed that was a potential alternate answer because banana was a lovely answer in my opinion. And yeah, that is that question. Crabgate. Oh yes, this did cause. There was definite. I can't remember what it was. I was there, but I was not paying attention. But there was debate about how many legs does a crab have. The answer is none if you cook it properly. Crabgate.
So it turns out we know who the Fluffer is. Oh, Fuffer, not Fluffer.
Yeah, so it's Jamie.
I've given you another nickname. You are now Fluffer. On top of Flaps. But whatever it was last week, can't remember now. I think it was Flaps. But anyway, so yes, Jamie, he was on our live chat last week. Great fun, really, really good. And as Claire says, Suggs. So one of his many lookalikes.
Yes, indeed. So I have to avoid the contestants. So I would have loved to have come and said hello to you, Jamie. At any point throughout the series, but I am always keeping as far away from the contestants because technically I've had contact with the questions team and potentially seen questions and things like that. So it is best for me to minimize my contestants with all contestants, my contact with all the contestants, which is just a generally good policy in my life anyway.
Yes.
Which is also actually a reason why sometimes get people, there's Puzzgrid and people say, oh, do you want to take a look at this wall I've written? And all this idea for a question I've got. And my answer is no, I never do. And that's nothing personal. It's just because I'm a writer, if I come up with an idea, because I might have ideas that you've come up with, or this wall might be similar to something that you've written. If I haven't seen it, then I have plausible deniability. Just it avoids the whole but I saw it first and you copied it off of me. I always stay away from sites such as Puzzgrid and things like that just simply because of that. So if you do want to give me questions, I'm very sorry, but I'm not interested in the nicest possible way.
No, I understand that. I remember quite some time ago, and I'd been involved in the development of a TV show, just tangentially and a little bit. And then I had an idea for something, and I contacted the producers saying, got this idea. And they said, yeah, well, we can't really hear your idea because if our development team are working on something similar, and then you tell them...
It's just a legal minefield. It's absolutely awful. And much worse for development ideas. Questions is a relatively safe area. I still remove myself from it.
Yes, far better. And then, because, nobody wants to be... A bit like comedians don't want to be accused of stealing somebody else's jokes. You don't want to be accused of stealing questions.
And here's the thing, a comedian will come up with a great joke that will be original to them and they've never heard of it. And yet someone on the other side of the world was probably made the same joke because there's only a limited number of words in the world, The same is true of questions. There's only a certain number of questions that we have in the world. It's highly likely that you will have ever that come up with something original, aside from the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe question on Only Connect last year or the year before, which is still my favourite Only Connect question. A lion, a witch, and a wardrobe. Absolutely fantastic. Well done to Alex McMillan for coming up with that one. So it's just trying to be as independent as you can with things like that.
Another point of process, I guess, because some people, people don't know this. Writers generally will write to a brief or a style guide or a set of rules of how you present your questions, and you'll send it in, and then they go for verification. and that's where somebody tries to tear your questions to bits and prove that they don't work.
Yep.
Have you done any of that side of things?
I've never done any verification on my personally. I have. I've done referencing, of course, to before the questions can get sent off to be verified. But I've never done referencing, verifying myself. But I know what makes a good source and what doesn't. So I'm hopeful that my questions usually come back okay. But inevitably, that some will always fall by the wayside. And also inevitably, I think this is underappreciated. Probably not all the questions I write, not all of them will go on the show. My hit rate at the moment is probably about a half, which is, I think, for Only Connect quite high, because there's a big hive mind. Only Connect is the sort of show where you have lots of different people pitching lots of different things. So there's actually quite a lot of scope for rejection, if that makes any sense, because there's a lot of people contributing ideas, so they tend to only pick the top. So for Only Connect, probably only about half of the questions I even pitch will make it onto the show, possibly less. I'm okay with that. That's absolutely fine. I'm used to it. But some people will be like, imagine if half of this book you wrote, when you took it to the publisher, they then said, no, we don't like this half, we'll take this half. That's actually a reality in question writing. You just have to get used to it. But half the time it's because someone's already written the darn thing, someone else. Thank you, Alex Macmillan again.
Do you still get a buzz from seeing your questions pop up on screen and people playing
Absolutely. Absolutely. The number of times. So I actually still watch Only Connect, even though I was there during the filming. I still watch it, partly because I've still forgotten the answers, so I'm playing along like a normal person anyway. But I watch it with a friend and sometimes go, oh, and during this bit behind the scenes, this happened and things like that. And the first block we filmed during a heat wave, and it was very warm during that August heat wave that we had last year. We filmed during that, and the studio was warm. Fun little trivia bits like that. Yes, I do. And half the time I keep saying to him, it's my question. And also sometimes, oh, that was my question, because I'd forgotten that I'd written it.
And when you're watching it, that is interesting. There was a discussion on a Facebook group about question writing. Do you want the contestants to get them right, or do you want to beat them, or a bit of both?
Yes, I want them to get it right, but only for 1 point. That's or maybe 2, or if it's a brilliant display, 3 or 5. We don't want them to be in the middle of nowhere, lost at sea. It doesn't make for good television, and it's actually genuinely disappointing when they're just, oh, there's this lovely question with this lovely connection, they don't get it. It's actually disappointing. So it's not that we want to make them easy enough so that everything is got, but we want to make them gettable so that that people can go, aha.
And indeed, somebody made that point about the aha moment earlier up in the comments. Yeah. We zipped around, so I can't even remember who it was. But there is that aha moment where you think, oh, God, I should have got that earlier. And that's like the groan reaction that you were talking about, or the chuckle.
It's what Only Connect has, which is very unique in quiz shows. Not all of them have. So I watched tonight for the first time in a very long time Mastermind and University Challenge, and I thought Mastermind. So I don't know whether you know. So I must admit, I normally stream on a Monday evening, but I'm not tonight because I'm with you, lovely lot. So I haven't seen your these streams, so I don't know whether you talk about them a lot or not. Mastermind, it's fine. Mastermind, perfectly competent quiz. It was slightly interesting. I'm just reviewing now because it's been so long since I've seen Mastermind. It was slightly interesting finding things out about British mammals, Damien Hirst, and Wimbledon. I was more interested in Friends just simply because that's more my sphere. I did enjoy the general knowledge side of things, and I probably got about half of those questions, maybe to 2/3. University Challenge. Oh. Do you have any comments on University Challenge before I say anything?
I thought it started off as if it was going to be a punch for punch slugfest to start with.
It was close, yeah.
And then Warwick just pulled away, and there were some very, very good buzzes in there. And Imperial are a really good team, and we've had Michael Cohen, the captain from Imperial, on here, and in fact he's coming on next week. So be good to have him back on to give his inside perspective on things. But I don't know. I found it a very odd episode for me, because there was just some stuff which was completely more unintelligible than normal. Like,
Okay, good. So maybe I saw a bad episode. I didn't really like it. It was all about arcane knowledge that I'm not interested in. I'm not a huge literary fan anyway. I'm aware that it's biased towards that for good reasons. Basically, that there's more questions on them. So the actual show, it was fine, but I thought the questions themselves. Someone said to me recently that the questions were more interesting. I didn't see that. I didn't find that the case this time. I'm. Is Paxman okay? I'm sure he is.
but
To me,
there is something about him that points this series, and I don't know whether it's tiredness, because obviously you'll know they film multiple episodes a day. There's some days where his words are almost a bit slurry and he's a bit slow.
It's close. It was the speed. It was slower than I was expecting, and he's obviously all there. It's not that. It's just having not seen University Challenge for 5-6 years. There was a jump change to what I was expecting, and I was a little bit worried. I hope he's okay. I'm sure he is. And as you say, probably last show of the day, dead tired. That's absolutely fine. But I wanted, there wasn't the pace there that I was after.
Yeah, I mean, you sometimes get that with the shows. Obviously, that there could be a dynamic of a buzz, some quick getting of the bonuses, and you move on, and there's a pace to it. There were points tonight where it felt like one team was stalling and eating up a bit of time. I might be unfair. I did get some things out of it. I liked the in silico starter. I thought
that was lovely.
In silico. I thought that was very nice. There was some good knowledge on Kevlar. And
I enjoyed the picture round of the 3 capitals. Absolutely bastard hard, so hard, but really, really lovely idea. So really enjoyed that. And Rout, the team captain of Warwick, he was a tour de force at times. So very, very knowledgeable people and great knowledge on display. But for me, it's just not a show for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great for the kind of the hardened quizzer, and it is really competitive, almost sporting action. But as entertainment at times, it can be a little bit lacking. But I think you want a close game. That's what gets you kind of excited and living every point and every buzz. And when it's not close, then that kind of falls away a little bit. The big thing I took from it, and people of a certain age may well associate with this, is I grew up watching a TV show called Monkey, which was based on Journey to the West, and the character there was Tripitaka, but it was pronounced tonight as I can't even think, Tripitaka. I don't know, some mangling of it, and that just trampled over my childhood. I was quite distressed.
Don't get me started on how he says meteorology. I did meteorology at university, and he likes to say meteorology, which no.
So moving a little bit away from University Challenge, Scott, who's been putting up a few things, I think posing his own questions, that scale. Whereas with the response to that is you were going through the motions.
Victoria knows me as the person who did the poo question. She does. She knows me as that.
You are the poop person.
I wrote that question. That was me.
You mentioned the picture round in Challenge, and I remember ages ago hearing you talk about doing pictures on Only Connect, and let's say the limitations that may be present on the pictures you can and can't use. Can you tell us a little bit about how you go around sourcing pictures for questions?
Well, luckily, my main part is literally going and finding them on the database, so that series producer Jen can go and then pick what she thinks are the best ones, and then put them in the question, and then they go to the questions team, Jack and David, and they'll go, yes, we like this one, no, we don't, find more of this one, that sort of thing. It's generally... most picture questions are quite easy because we just need a picture of this person. We just need a picture of a fish. But actually, that's a really good example. If you needed a picture to represent fish, then you need a picture that isn't a specific fish that will make people think cod. No, we don't want you thinking cod. Oh, that's a salmon. No, we don't want you thinking salmon. We want the word fish. So there is an art in the picture research of when you go finding in things like that to make sure that they think what you want them to think, that we're not misleading you. Yes, if it's a person, you've got to try and work out who it is, that sort of thing. But generally, most of the time, we make sure that the picture is as close to what we want it to represent as it can be. Sometimes it goes a little by the wayside, but I think we've done a pretty good job here. What's a difficult thing? Editorial stuff can be very difficult for some reason. There are some TV shows that, for some reason, like Doctor Who is a particularly difficult one to get things sourced from. So if you want a picture of Tom Baker as the Doctor or something like that, that's going to be very difficult. So the BBC are normally pretty good about their shows, but Doctor Who's their big shining asset, so they are a pain in the asset when it comes to that. My main job is finding them. If there's extra text added and things like that, that's someone else. That goes to someone else. But I source all the background stuff that then gets worked on.
And presumably, Only Connect has a budget, and therefore you want to steer clear of anything where you've got to pay rights to use it.
True. Yes. So I have access to a few databases, and there's one that I use preferentially because it's cheaper, and there's one that if I can't go there, then I go there, then I go there. And yeah, money is a thing, but I am not. It's not my primary thing. I'm mainly just looking at the pictures. Someone else can look at the budget. But you're right. Pictures are not cheap, and there'll be at least 8 pictures in a show, possibly more if it's one of the the lovely little split ones. It adds up. It does add up. So I've no idea. I've no idea what the budget is. I've no idea how much it costs, but I know that it isn't. It's not cheap.
So Grace, really surprising. BBC show finds it difficult to use a picture from another BBC show.
Doctor Who is different. Doctor Who is different. I don't know why.
Scott's saying there's a difference between show produced by the BBC and show produced by a different company and broadcast by the BBC. Oh my word, we're getting into tangled.
Oh yeah, it might be a BBC Studios thing, but no, Doctor Who is for me. It's just one because I needed to do one recently and we had some issues. So yeah, can be difficult.
Apparently easy to get pictures of Celebrity Big Brother. They're just
Whoever the first picture was in one of the what were the pictures? It was John le Carre. Who was it that one? Yeah, it was it was whoever had won 7654, whoever won 4 world titles. It was someone who'd gone into Big Brother because it was them as they were going into the Big Brother house. That just happened to be one of the pictures that I'd selected from them. Oh dear.
We've got just a couple more comments about University Challenge. So Michael's saying you see it's a bit of a chore to get through sometimes, but you feel as a Quizzy you have to watch it in case there's some facts you can pick up. I think there is an element of that. I certainly came away with it, and I guess it's whether you're watching it for entertainment or whether you're watching it, as a hardened quiz or almost as research. And our friend Jamie often tips over the scales from fun to impossible. And
that's a different show, Impossible, of course.
Indeed. So on a slightly different point, and this is where I first met you. I'm sure I'm not going to really miss the Only Connect reunion this year. It would be the highlight of my social calendar if I had one.
Well, yes. But, it's not going to be possible this year, is it? Or at least not now.
No. We normally have it January, February time, around the time of the auditions. But it is one of the things that kind of marks out, Only Connect for me, is that there is that camaraderie between players and teams across the generations. And I don't really, Mastermind has a Mastermind club. That's probably the closest there is to it.
I think it's because every team gets to play basically every other team before they're allowed home. It's that's partly it's Stockholm syndrome mostly.
There must be a term for the quiz form of Stockholm syndrome.
Okay, yes, there must be.
G Mathematics, can you put your name, at least a hint of your name in the?
It's Gareth. It's Gerald Mackey, I think. I can't remember which team he was on, but
yeah. No, that's fine. it makes
that's probably who it is.
Yeah, no,
We've
that
got
makes
you.
and he certainly likes the old singing. Graham saying they'll have to be twice as big next year. No, it'll definitely be a big one when we can finally all get together. But yeah, so that's a wonderful aspect of Only Connect. So yeah, from the writing, what's your ambitions as a quiz writer or a puzzle writer? Where do you want to get to?
I don't. Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? I don't know. Alive would be a good start. Don't know. So that came out rather morbid. I didn't mean it like that.
Shows that you've got your eyes on that you think I'd really like to write for that. I want to cross the Atlantic and make my name on Jeopardy or something like that.
Well, I'd love to get my own format made. That is what I would like. I have a couple of ideas, but getting a format made is just so much harder than it seems, just because it gets knocked down at any point, basically. I'd love it, but I genuinely don't know at the moment. So over the next few months, I'm question writing for a new show, and that's fun. I haven't done that for a while because I've been working for the Press Association and writing puzzles. So I came out of that, and now I'm doing some more question writing again. It's good to be back. What would I like to do? After I do these next 2 months, I'd like to focus on streaming a little bit. I stream when I'm not working full time. I've been streaming 4 nights a week, and I've been having a lot of fun doing that with various quizzes and puzzles and games. At Quizzy Dan on Twitch, or at Quizzy Dan on Twitter if you want to follow. Sneaky plug.
No,
I'd love that to take off. I really would, as in write a puzzle magazine, a 1-page puzzle magazine once a week, and then stream for the rest. That's where I would like to be. I fear that is not going to bring in the money that I would want. So, like anything, but yeah, I'd love to get my own show made, and I can see myself. I'd love to produce a show, but I don't know how I would get there. So I'm quite happy being at the questions producing an AP level. Questions AP level, assistant producing, which is currently what I'm doing.
Excellent. We have more. The chat carries on. So Gerard, your rendition of Gold from Only Connect is officially recorded on TV Tropes as crowning moment of wastes no seconds in going, that much is true. He knows his cheesy 80s.
He should be putting Spandau for that, shouldn't he? Yeah.
First thing, it's funny on application forms at the moment. You have to say if there are any dates you can't do. Well, yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
It must be interesting, though. If you're applying for a game show at the moment, one of the standard questions is going to be, what are you going to do if you win some money? Obviously not for Only Connect, but just any show. And well, one of the standard responses, which you should never give, by the way, or if you do, it should be only very 3 seconds worth before you move on to something much more interesting, is I'm going to go on holiday. Well, what are you going to do now? You can't. So I'm going to buy me some pigs and rear them for some tasty bacon. Do something like that. Home farming of bacon.
Now, talking of your streaming, at the weekend just gone, there was a charity stream in aid of Samaritans on a Twitch channel called Royal_Flush, and it started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can watch it back if you haven't seen it at 9 p.m. So 8 hours ish into the stream, there was a show competing in was Dan alongside comedian Lucy Porter, the YouTube megastar Tom Scott, and also Only Connect alumnus, and another chap whose name escapes me, but he writes music for TV quizzes and
Paul Farrer.
And Paul Farrer. So it was a brand new format. Not dissimilar.
Put a link in the chat for people who want it.
I mean, it was one of these where the clock runs down, sort of like the chess clock type format. But it was good. It was good fun. The questions were fast and furious. The competitors were jumping
terrified.
Had play along ability. Watching at home. So I'd say anybody who who wants to see something a little bit different, wants to see Dan get a taste of his own medicine,
Yes, yeah.
then go on to Twitch, and it's /royal_flush. There's a chap called Ash the Bashed who does a lot of these streaming quizzes. The whole Twitch thing is opening up to me right now. I'm learning a lot of what's going on.
So this is a relatively new, I say relatively new, technically it's been going on for a couple of years, but the pandemic has really opened it up. So there's this blossoming scene on Twitch. Twitch is just, most people think it's for gamers. And yes, it is. There's a big content of gamers there. But basically, it's just for people who want to live stream something. And there's a lot of people, myself, Ash, who's called @_bash, and Ben, Royal_flush, who do quizzes and games of various descriptions. Now, Ben and Ash, they are very codey and technologically minded, which is something I'm not. They have managed to program these wonderful games. Some of them are originals in their own format. Some work better than others. And some of them are really complicated and some of them are really simple. So that thing that I did on Saturday, which was so much fun, by the way, we'll talk about more like in a second. That's a dead simple thing. It's just a chess clock game. But there's all these other things. But also, if you are a member of Twitch, which is free, you just, it's an account, you just log on. You can type in the chat and it will take your answer and you get to play along. It's a massive multiplayer game, and often these games have got 40 or 50 players. Sometimes they're classic formats. So Ash has done 1 versus 100 and you can be part of the mob. Ash has done...
so 500 there was a marathon.
He did a marathon stream of that. If you want to do 500 questions, that is how you do it. You don't ask, what was it, however, 160 that the ITV actually asked or something like that. We don't do that. Yeah, he did 500 questions. He's done winning lines. He's done both the Wonder Ball and the main bit of winning lines. He's done all that sort of thing, and you can type as part of the chat. I don't have that technical capability. The quizzes I do are more pen and paper based, and then you still interact with me in the chat, but it's pen and paper. It's a new scene, and I mean, I don't think anything here is going to nothing here will easily transition on TV, but that's a thing. Actually, you couldn't do what they're doing on TV. So that's a really interesting thing.
And actually, the world is changing. Live streaming is changing everything in terms of entertainment. So who says it has to be on TV? You look at your KSIs and your PewDiePies and whatever, and all the, they're earning mega bucks from their online streaming stuff, and they don't necessarily have
fingers crossed for me.
Yeah, so I mean, the world is changing. Who says that online streamed quizzes or quiz entertainment isn't going to be something that will take off in the future?
There's a level of interactivity there that you do not get on TV. Yes, you with TV, you for better and for worse, actually. With TV, you can come and go as you please. You kind of have to pay a little bit more attention if you're on Twitch. But if you say something, the host can interact with it. Like I'm reading the chat right now as we are live streaming. I'm reading the chat. There's that level of interactivity. It's going to be interesting what happens when the pandemic is over and normal life resumes again. There's all these pub quizzes that are going to start happening again. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to the audiences after that. I think, as you say, there's been a fundamental change. I think they'll become less popular and only the better ones will stick around, of which Ben and Ash are cut above the rest. You should, if you haven't seen them, definitely look at their graphics and their it's just really, really well done, and I can only aspire. Yeah. But in 6 months, 8 months, a year's time, however long it takes, it's going to be harder for these Twitch quizzes to happen. So what I'm saying is get in there now whilst it's still happening.
Well, as somebody who puts together videos, quizzes for all things quiz, I know how much a lack of graphical talent can hamper you. Try and focus on the questions and the gameplay. But no, I mean, I appreciate what they've done because it's really professional looking stuff.
Really, really good.
T has posted there was a new quiz that was going to be called Money Shot. I think it still is, isn't it? Because there already is a Money Ball.
Nope. No, it's been changed to the Money Ball.
Oh, it has been, but there was Money Ball, the one where the ball went down the slope, and that was
Hard Ball.
Oh, Hard Ball. Oh,
yeah, that was Hard Ball. Wow. So yeah, there was an outcry, and so T. I will say I did not know either. I'm innocent. I had no idea. So I think yeah, I shouldn't have got as far as it did. But the fact that they went, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to change that. Good plan. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, that was a name asking for trouble, indeed.
Yes, it was.
So you mentioned, you know, if you're applying for a show, don't say I want to win the money because I want to go to Magaluf, because that doesn't make you stand out. I mean, you're not involved in casting, but you must hear stuff, chat at times.
Not really. No, not really. So the questions team and the casting teams are very separate. Not for any reason, just they don't interact. There is no reason for them to interact. So particularly now that we're all working from home, there is zero talk between the two. So this is why people think when people say they're fixed, you know, this gamer got a question on games, this chess player got a question on chess. Those scenarios have come up on Only Connect. It genuinely is not a fix because we don't talk to each other. We genuinely have no idea. The first time we find out who's going to be on the show that we're working on is probably when they walk in the studio. So I know nothing about casting. It looks like a fun job. It looks to basically interview people all day and play games. That looks fun.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you watch the interview we did with Jenny Heap, who's a series producer of Only Connect, which is on All Things Quiz and is doing rather well as a video, she does talk about playing the same game hundreds of times. Thin after a while.
Before each show, we play a sample game with the contestants so that they're okay and that they know what the screens look like in front of them, because it looks different when you're in the studio than when you're sitting at home. It's a slightly different layout and things like that, just that they're all okay and that they can hear each other and they can hear the music. We have seen the same questions absolutely 30 however many times per series, and the same piece of music each time, which we started dancing to and getting more and more elaborate dances throughout the show. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they must get so bored of learning those 10 or however many questions they have to ask in each interview.
Yeah.
No, I don't envy them that.
No. Talking of how these things happen, T says, I'm an auditor. I got a question on audit on Mastermind. It happens. Fix.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yep.
Luck draw. But
and I'm aware that I'm sort of preaching to the choir here. Most of the people watching this will know that it is not fixed, that everything is as above board as it can be. It's just my favorite phrase of this is, it's not enough to be fair. You have to be seen to be fair. There's a difference. You pick up, oh, Grace, you really wouldn't. There's a reason why we social distance. It's not for COVID. It's for the social dancing, social dance dance thing. Oh, I don't know.
David has put, I've been lucky when certain question subjects fall in my lap, but I'm not sure it's all random. Now, David holds the world record for most TV quiz shows.
I recognise the name.
And it may be, David, that there was a point in time where perhaps there was a little bit more manipulation went on than goes on now. I mean, if we're looking 30, 40 years, I don't know how long you've been doing it, David, but quite some time, I know.
Oh, 70s, yeah. So I probably throughout to mid-90s, I think things really got tighter. Things started tightening up in the mid-90s properly. I think partly with the invention of the internet, I think it made it easier for us to make things fairer as well. But yeah, no, Only Connect is genuinely not fixed. And he says, oh, that fell in my lap. That is that's a confirmation bias. You go, oh, I know about that, and this is a question about this incredibly specific thing. Well, think about it the other way. Most of the time, you're going, I know nothing about that, and I didn't know that. And it's the same scenario, just flipped negative. It's confirmation bias when it happens the other way. So it's just random.
That's a really good point. And the flip side of that is the awful feeling of seeing somebody else get your dream category while you're in the green room or whatever. It's that sort of
yeah,
nightmare scenario. So look, Dan, it's been David's just saying 34 shows. It's been great.
I'm looking forward to number 35, David.
Indeed. Yeah, so it's been great fun talking to you. We've kind of gone past the hour, and I think we could keep going.
we could.
But just remind us again before we go, and if anybody's got any last questions, whack them in. But before we go, if people want to find your quizzes or your live stream puzzles or anything like that, where do they find you, and when do they find you?
So I stream 8 p.m. at the moment, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Alternate Thursdays is my quiz at the moment. And then I do various puzzle hunt style puzzles on a Tuesday. And I'm playing through The Witness, which is an amazing video game, a puzzly video game, on a Wednesday. Normally I would do more than that, but with my full-time work, I've now got to adjust. I kind of got to concentrate on bringing in some money so I can just do that for the moment. So 8 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings. You can find me on Twitch. I am at Quizzy Dan. Twitch.tv/Quizzy Dan. But the easiest way is to search for me, search for Quizzy Dan. I'm on Twitter at Quizzy Dan. That is the easiest way because I'll give you all the latest info about what I've got coming up there. That is the easiest way. That'd be lovely. Thank you, Dave Matthews, for the happy Groundhog Day for tomorrow. Oh no, this is a thing. This is a thing.
Tell us about this thing.
Oh, just someone on Sunday wished me happy Groundhog Day, and now they wish me it again today, and it's not until tomorrow, is it? It's not. Everybody has been wishing me happy Groundhog Day today, and do you know what? I hate them all. I hate you all.
It's a healthy attitude to have for people.
It will go on Wednesday and on Thursday. I think I'm just going to hide.
Apparently, you're an expert in meteorology. Oh, everybody's coming out the woodwork now to have a dig at you, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, I love you all.
Look, before we go, I perhaps ought to plug what's coming up on All Things Quiz as well. So this week we've got Cryptic, which is the third of the 4 episodes of the Quiz Omnium coming up. Really exciting match between 4 great players where they're picking cryptic topics and they don't know what lies behind them. So some tough but good quizzing coming up. We've got our daily lunchtime question, so look out for that on Twitter. At the moment, we've got a couple of votes going for the question of the week. We basically give an answer. So we gave the answer crane, and then we asked people to write questions for it. And now we're putting that to a vote, the best question to which the answer is a crane. So look out for that on Twitter. Thursday, we've got our quiz week live, which is a review more of competitive quizzing. So it's another live stream. And it's about competitive quizzing, quiz leagues, etc. We do touch on TV as well, but mainly it's the competitive stuff. And yeah, just loads of stuff. We've got the Quizzer of the Week and the Quiz Team of the Week coming up. So loads of things. Anyway, Dan, when's Groundhog Day again? So just remind us.
No idea. Every day. I was going to say thank you for having me, Gareth, but I'm not going to now.
well, I mean, hopefully we can have you back sometime, Dan, and carry on getting more insights. And you're an avid. Somebody else is having a go. You go back to question 9. So we're, there's lots more to mine, I think, and particularly, you're very much into your TV quizzes and formats, and with the recent Bothers Bar vote, you were part of the panelists there, and you had some things to say, some controversial things to say.
Nothing controversial. I'm entirely correct.
So yeah, we'd love to have you back on. It's been great fun chatting to you. Thanks to everybody who's posted questions and comments in the chat. I'm sorry we couldn't pick up every comment. It's just there's too much going on, and on my screen they just kind of fly by at times. So that's been brilliant. We will be back again next week for another Quizzy Monday. We'll have Michael Cohn, the captain of the Imperial College team, where hopefully we'll have perhaps some less scathing unpicking of University Challenge than perhaps we jointly did tonight. But no, he will be able to give us insights. He's been on before. He's very, very got some very, very thoughtful and perceptive comments about what happens on the show. So we're looking forward to hearing from him. We do have potentially a slot or two for anybody else who wants to join us. So if you watch Quizzy Monday, Mastermind Only Connect University Challenge, and you fancy coming on and just telling us what you thought about it, you don't have to stick in the comments. You can come on and join the live stream. So message us either on Twitter, which is @thingsquiz, or email allthingsquiz@gmail.com, or join a Facebook group, whatever. Any way to get in contact with us. If you fancy it, you don't have to be a superstar quizzer. You just have to be somebody who loves quizzes and wants to chat about it. So by all means,
Gareth is not as scary as he looks.
I put on a good front, to be fair. But no, please consider putting yourselves forward. I've had a good number of people on this stream over the last few weeks who I've never met before, and it's brilliant talking to new people and getting new perspectives on things. So consider it, guys. Consider it. Let us know. Get in contact. But until then, thank you very much again to Dan Peake for being a brilliant guest today. Thank you, everybody, for watching and commenting, and hope to see you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.